Well, I'd like to welcome everybody. This is my more official welcome. We're honored to have you all here today. I'm Denny Cummings, the chairman of the Union League Club Authors Group. And what a thrill to have Sergeant Meyer here today. And to have all of you here today. We have a couple of tables from our American Legion post right here. You might just wave and so everybody knows who you are. And very active American Legion post, I should say. One other thing I want to mention is each of you have a card at your place with, that looks something like this. Several years ago, we began a program called Support the Troops, just to see how it would go. It started in our library. We would have a speaker from the military, typically, and the idea was to have those who were in attendance bring things that we could then send to the troops. So whether it was books or DVDs or CDs or even iPods, batteries, some of the things that they let us know that they needed, and we collected a few boxes and sent them to the troops. Each year it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and I think last year we sent over 300 boxes to the troops, and we collected a lot of money, which, of course, if you come to the event and you haven't brought a set of batteries, you don't need to feel bad because we have like $25 bags, $50 bags, $100 bags, $40,000 bags if you want to bring that, and we'll fill them full of things that they need. So that's on November 8th, starting at 6 o'clock, and you'll see here who our speakers are, and they are equally spectacular. So I hope you'll come and bring whatever you can. Bring that big check that we're talking about. One last thing that I'll say, and that is if you have a cell phone, this would be an appropriate time to turn that off so there are no interruptions. And we will have cards. I don't know if we have them yet at the tables, but we'll have cards in the event that you have questions. And we'd appreciate it if you'd fill out those cards, and they'll be collected and handed to me so that we can just then get them up to Sergeant Meyer. All right, I'd like to introduce to you a really important partner for this event. This is the first time we've partnered with leading authorities, and we couldn't be more thrilled. So I'm going to introduce to you Mike Barrett, who's going to tell you a little bit about leading authorities. Mike.
Thank you, Denny. Appreciate it. Good afternoon. I'm Mike Barrett. I'm the Senior Vice President with Leading Authorities here in Chicago. First, I would just like to thank the Union League Club for partnering with us on this event. As Denny said, it's the first event we're working together on, and I hope it's going to be the first of many. We're really excited about the event today, and I just wanted to tell you a little bit about us, and then we'll introduce Dakota for sure. So, we're a speakers bureau and event design firm here in Chicago. If any of you have meetings, events, things like that where you're looking to program that, that's what we do. And we've been partnering with different organizations throughout the city to kind of showcase some of the speaking talent that's out there, helping organizations, trade associations, and corporations right now speak to their members and employees and families and things like that. So I have a couple colleagues with me here. Matt Jones is at the front table and Ned Jamanovich there. So if you have any needs, come see us afterwards. We'd love to talk to you. So today I have the pleasure of introducing Sergeant Dakota Meyer. He's a Marine Corps veteran and the recipient of the Medal of Honor, the military's highest honor. He's the first living Marine to have received the medal since 1973 and is also one of the youngest. When the Marines went missing after being ambushed, Meyer defied his orders in order to save his comrades. For his actions that day, President Barack Obama awarded Meyer the Medal of Honor on September 15, 2011. Meyer was also inducted into the Hall of Heroes at the Pentagon and honored with a parade. Since then, Meyer has raised more than $1 million to help send the children of wounded Marines to college. And finally, as you've all seen, he is the author of Into the Fire, a first-hand account of the most extraordinary battle in the Afghan War. Leading Authorities is very proud to exclusively represent Dakota Meyer, and now I want to show you a video to hear a little more about Dakota and his story. Thank you.
It's kind of frustrating because, everyone wants to get an interview about the worst day of your life. It was a straightforward mission that then 21-year-old Sergeant Dakota Meyer had been assigned that day. Meyer waited anxiously by the vehicles as his team began their patrol of the village on foot. As they approached, the lights in the village blinked off. All hell broke loose. More than 50 insurgents fired from positions on mountains surrounding the valley and from within the village. Back at the vehicles, Meyer heard the firing and could see into the valley. The volume of fire increased, and the radio traffic grew increasingly desperate. Wounded but steadfast in his decision, Sergeant Meyer entered the kill zone 4 times, swapping out guns and trucks and rescuing his trapped and wounded comrades with each run.
Dakota's the kind of guy who gets the job done. In so doing, he has earned our nation's highest military decoration, the Medal of Honor, and we are extraordinarily proud of Sergeant Dakota Meyer.
Medal of Honor recipients are often called the bravest of the brave. As the first living United States Marine to receive the honor in 41 years, Sergeant Meyer is only the 3rd living recipient since the Vietnam War.
I'll accept the award on behalf of the guys that died, on behalf of the guys who have passed before, on behalf of the Marines and the men and women who are still over there fighting every day.
Today, Sergeant Meyer has dedicated his time to raising awareness and money to benefit the children of fallen Marines. He has also issued the Dakota Meyer Scholarship Challenge to America to match his efforts with the goal of raising an additional $1 million for this cause. He also wrote Into the Fire, a first-hand account of the most extraordinary battle in the Afghan War. Leading authorities would like to thank our co-host, the Union League Club of Chicago, for its generous support of today's program. Humble, courageous, and determined, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sergeant Dakota Meyer.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. So I got a question. Do you think that I could, when I go out and use a reference, you think I could show that video where the president says that, well, Dakota Meyer is the guy that gets the job done, it'll get me a job? So, I want to start off by thanking the Union League Club for having me here today and letting me share my story, leading authorities for going around and helping me get out to crowds and getting crowds here and share my story as well of the men and women who have served. And I want to thank all of you for showing up and giving me the support. I really appreciate it. So I'd like to start off the question of, why am I here today? Why am I standing in front of you and getting ready to give you all a speech? Because I have to say, as a 24-year-old high school educated sergeant in the Marine Corps, this is not a group of people or where I would expect myself to be standing right now. But I want to thank you all again for the opportunity to let me do this. So by now, everyone in here has heard of me. Whether you know me as a small-town guy, Dakota Meyer, who does construction, or you know me as Sergeant Dakota Meyer, the Medal of Honor recipient, you've more than likely in some way, shape, or form heard of me by now. But it all started off, I was a typical high school student, 17 years old, and I was walking through my lunchroom, and I knew everything back then. And I was walking through, and a Marine recruiter was sitting in the back corner, and he had his dress blues on, and I'm telling you, this guy looked like he could have been the President of the United States. And I went up to him, and I started asking him a lot of smart-aleck questions. What's this for? How'd you get that? Oh, yeah, well, I can shoot a .308. I can hit a deer at 100 yards. Not impressing him at all. So he took it for a minute, and he said, so what are you going to do when you get out of high school? And I looked back at him, acting tough, puffed my chest out. I said, well, I'm going to go play football somewhere. And he said, yeah, that's exactly what I would do, too, because there's no way you'd ever make it as a Marine. So quickly I realized, and I guess that's what they're supposed to do, I don't know. So quickly I realized I'd set myself up. So I went back to my classroom, my lunch period was over, and I came back, and for those of you who don't know me, I don't take a challenge very easily, and I definitely don't take no very easily, and if you were one of my commanders, you would know that for a fact. So I went back to my room, and I started thinking about it, and I was thinking about what the recruiter had done, and he had challenged me. So I was a bargainer. I came back to him, I left my room, and I said, you know what? If you'll pack your stuff up right now, I'll sign the papers, expecting him to say, well, we can't do it today, we'll do it tomorrow, and I would get out of it. He said, all right, let's go. So I didn't tell my father. We went up to Elizabethtown, signed the papers, we came back, and we're sitting. The only